The vast emptiness of space erupted in flashes of light as the Zarkon Empire's warships dropped out of hyperspace. Their sleek, silver vessels, each the size of a small moon, cast long shadows over the tiny planets of the Galactic Alliance. Admiral Krovac stood on the bridge of his flagship, his 6 eyes narrowing as he surveyed the pitiful collection of ships that made up the Alliance's defense force. He snorted, a sound that echoed through his long, trunk-like snout. "Is this all they could muster?" he asked, turning to his second-in-command. Captain Zilna nodded, her tentacles waving in amusement. "Yes, Admiral. Our scans show less than 100 ships. Most of them appear to be civilian vessels hastily converted for combat." Krovac's laughter boomed across the bridge. The rest of the crew joined in, their various appendages shaking with mirth. "This will be easier than crushing a bloop slug," the Admiral declared. "Prepare the troops for invasion. We'll be sipping quasar juice on the Alliance homeworld by dinner time." As the Zarkon fleet began to move into attack formation, the bridge of the Alliance flagship buzzed with activity. Unlike the massive Zarkon ships, this vessel was small, built for speed rather than intimidation. Its captain, a tall, furless being with only 2 eyes and 2 arms, stood calmly at the center of the chaos. "Status report," Captain Sarah Chen demanded, her voice steady despite the dire situation. A green-skinned alien with 4 arms typed furiously at his console. "The Zarkon fleet outnumbers us 10 to 1, Captain. Their weapons are charging." Chen nodded, unsurprised. "And our special packages? All in place and ready, Captain," another crew member, a rock-like being, rumbled. "Excellent," Chen said, a small smile playing on her lips. "Broadcast on all frequencies. Let's introduce ourselves properly." Across the Zarkon fleet, communication officers frowned at their displays as a message came through. Admiral Krovac waved a clawed hand, signaling to put it on screen. The image of Captain Chen appeared, standing tall and proud. "Greetings, Zarkon Empire. I am Captain Sarah Chen of the Earth Defense Force, representing the Galactic Alliance." Murmurs of confusion rippled through the Zarkon bridge. Krovac leaned forward, his curiosity piqued. "Earth? I've never heard of such a world." Chen continued, her voice clear and confident. "We are aware that you find our fleet lacking, but I assure you, appearances can be deceiving. We offer you this one chance to withdraw. If you choose to attack, you will face the full might of humanity and our allies." For a moment, silence reigned on the Zarkon bridge. Then, like a dam bursting, laughter erupted once more. "Humanity," Krovac wheezed between chuckles. "What kind of name is that? And what might could these furless weaklings possibly possess?" Captain Zilna, however, wasn't laughing. She tapped on her datapad, frowning. "Admiral, I found some information on these humans. They're from a small, unimportant world in a backwater system. But there are some strange reports." Krovac waved her concerns away. "Enough. These humans and their pathetic allies will learn their place. All ships, open fire." Back on the Alliance flagship, Chen watched as the Zarkon vessels lit up with weapon fire. Her brown eyes gleamed with determination. "And so it begins," she murmured. Then, louder, "All ships, execute Operation Trojan Horse." Across the battlefield, the small Alliance fleet burst into action. But instead of meeting the Zarkon attack head-on, they scattered in seemingly random directions. The Zarkon gunners, expecting easy targets, found themselves firing at empty space. Confusion reigned on the Zarkon bridge. "What are they doing?" Krovac bellowed. "Stop them. Don't let them escape." But as the Zarkon ships gave chase, something strange began to happen. Small, unnoticed objects attached to their hulls during the initial pass began to glow. Suddenly, alarms blared across the Zarkon fleet. "Admiral," Zilna cried, "our systems are being hacked. Weapons are offline. Shields are failing." Krovac stared in disbelief as his mighty fleet began to drift helplessly in space. On his view screen, the image of Captain Chen reappeared, this time with a full, victorious smile. "I warned you, Admiral," she said. "Never underestimate humanity. We may be small, we may look weak, but we are full of surprises. Now shall we discuss the terms of your surrender?" As the reality of their situation sank in, Admiral Krovac realized that this small, strange species called humans had just outsmarted the greatest military force in the galaxy. And somehow, he knew this was only the beginning. Admiral Krovac's 6 eyes blinked rapidly, trying to process the unthinkable situation. His mighty fleet, the pride of the Zarkon Empire, floated helplessly in space. The small, seemingly insignificant ships of the Galactic Alliance now surrounded them, weapons primed and ready. "How?" Krovac muttered, his trunk-like snout quivering in disbelief. "How did they do this?" Captain Zilna, her tentacles twitching nervously, pulled up a holographic display. "It appears to be some kind of advanced virus, Admiral. It infiltrated our systems through small devices attached to our hulls. We never saw them coming." On the main screen, Captain Sarah Chin's face appeared again. Her expression was calm, but there was a glint of triumph in her eyes. "Admiral Krovac, I hope you're ready to talk. Your weapons are disabled, your engines are offline, and your communication systems are under our control. You have 2 choices: surrender or float here until your life support runs out." Krovac's pride warred with his survival instinct. After a long moment, he deflated visibly. We surrender," he growled. Chen nodded. "A wise decision. Prepare to be boarded." As Alliance ships moved in to secure the Zarkon fleet, confusion and fear spread among the alien crew. They had never faced defeat before, let alone at the hands of such an unknown species. On the bridge of the Alliance flagship, Chen turned to her crew with a smile. "Well done, everyone. Phase 1 is complete. Now for the hard part." Her second-in-command, a tall, blue-skinned alien named Zax, raised an eyebrow. "You consider outsmarting and disabling the most powerful fleet in the galaxy the easy part, Captain?" Chen chuckled. "Compared to what comes next? Absolutely. War is easy, Zax. Peace is the real challenge." As Alliance troops boarded the Zarkon ships, they found a mix of resistance and surrender. Some Zarkon soldiers fought back with whatever weapons they had left, while others simply stood down, too shocked to resist. Leading one of the boarding parties was Lieutenant Maria Rodriguez, a compact human with short black hair and sharp eyes. As she moved through the corridors of the Zarkon flagship, she couldn't help but marvel at the alien technology around her. "Stay alert," she told her team. "A mix of humans and other Alliance species. We don't know what tricks they might have up their sleeves, or tentacles, or whatever." As they approached the bridge, they encountered a group of Zarkon officers led by Captain Zilna. The alien captain stood tall, her tentacles spread wide in a defensive posture. "We will not be humiliated further," Zilna hissed. "Fight us like true warriors." Rodriguez held up a hand, signaling her team to hold fire. Then, to everyone's surprise, she holstered her weapon and stepped forward. "We're not here to humiliate you," she said calmly. "We're here to talk, to understand each other. This war, it doesn't have to continue." Zilna's tentacles wavered, confusion evident in her multifaceted eyes. "Talk. Understanding. These are not the ways of war." Rodriguez smiled. "Maybe that's been the problem all along. We humans, we've had our share of wars. We know their cost, but we've also learned the value of peace, of cooperation. That's why we joined the Alliance, not to conquer, but to connect." As Rodriguez spoke, the tension in the corridor began to ease. The Zarkon officers lowered their makeshift weapons, their aggressive postures softening. Zilna stepped forward, her tentacles now moving in a pattern that suggested curiosity rather than hostility. You are not what we expected, human. We get that a lot. Rodriguez chuckled. Now, how about we go meet your admiral? I think we all have a lot to learn from each other. As the mixed group of humans, Alliance members, and Zarkon made their way to the bridge, word spread throughout both fleets. The impossible had happened. The mighty Zarkon had been defeated not just by superior tactics, but by an idea. Peace. On the Alliance flagship, Captain Chen watched the proceedings with satisfaction. Phase 2 initiated, she murmured. Let's see if we can turn these enemies into friends. The stars twinkled silently in the vastness of space, bearing witness to a moment that would change the course of galactic history. The day the humans arrived, bringing with them not just surprising strength, but unexpected wisdom. The grand meeting hall of the Zarkon flagship buzzed with tension. On one side sat Admiral Krovac and his top officers, their multiple eyes darting nervously. On the other side, Captain Sarah Chen led the Alliance delegation, a mix of humans and various alien species. Chen stepped forward, her voice calm but firm. Admiral Krovac, we're here to negotiate peace. But first, we need to understand each other. Why did you attack the Alliance? Krovac's trunk-like snout twitched. It is the way of the Zarkon. We conquer. We expand. It is how we have always survived. And if you had won today, Chen pressed, we would have taken your worlds, your resources, Krovac admitted. Your people would have served the Empire. Murmurs of anger rippled through the Alliance group, but Chen held up a hand for silence. I see. And did you ever consider trading instead? Cooperating? Krovac blinked in confusion. Trade? Cooperate? With lesser species? Chen smiled. Lesser? Admiral, look around you. Your mighty fleet was disabled by a lesser species. Perhaps it's time to reconsider what makes a species great. As she spoke, holographic displays flickered to life around the room. They showed images of Earth and other Alliance worlds, busy cities, advanced technologies, but also pristine nature reserves and diverse ecosystems. This is what cooperation has brought us, Chen explained. We work together, combine our strengths. We don't need to conquer because we help each other grow. The Zarkon officers watched in fascination. Captain Zilna leaned forward, her tentacles waving in excitement. Your cities, they're so different from ours. And your nature, you preserve it. Chen nodded. We learned the hard way that destroying our environment meant destroying ourselves. Now we balance progress with preservation. As the presentation continued, the Zarkon's attitudes began to shift. Their hostile postures relaxed, replaced by curiosity. Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the ship. A young Zarkon officer burst into the room. Admiral, our long-range sensors detect a massive fleet approaching. It's the Vrek horde. The room erupted in chaos. The Vrek were infamous raiders, known for their ruthless destruction of entire civilizations. Krovac turned to Chen, panic in his eyes. You must release our systems. We need our weapons, our shields. Chen shared a quick look with her team. This was a crucial moment. If we do that, how do we know you won't turn on us? Krovac hesitated, then straightened to his full height. I, Admiral Krovac of the Zarkon Empire, give you my word. We will fight alongside you against this threat. Chen nodded, then tapped her communicator. Alliance fleet, restore Zarkon systems. Prepare for battle. As the Zarkon ships came back online, Chen turned to Krovac. Now, Admiral, let's show the Vrek what happens when the Alliance and the Zarkon work together. The combined fleet moved into formation, facing the approaching Vrek ships. The raiders, expecting easy prey, were met instead by a united force. On the bridge of the Alliance flagship, Chen and Krovac stood side by side, directing their forces. Human ingenuity complemented Zarkon firepower. Alliance speed matched Vrek maneuverability. The battle raged for hours. Vrek ships exploded in brilliant flashes, while Alliance and Zarkon vessels covered each other's weaknesses. Finally, The Vrek fleet turned tail and fled, leaving behind a trail of destroyed ships. As the dust settled, Krovak turned to Chen, awe in his voice. I have never seen such tactics, such coordination. Chen smiled. This is the power of cooperation, Admiral. Imagine what we could achieve in peace. Krovak was quiet for a long moment. Then he extended a clawed hand. Perhaps it is time for the Zarkon Empire to join your alliance. As Chen shook his hand, a cheer went up from both human and Zarkon crew members. It was a new dawn for the galaxy. In the vastness of space, former enemies now stood united. The humans had not just won a battle. They had changed the course of galactic history with their unique blend of strength, strategy, and the willingness to extend a hand in peace. The weeks following the battle with the Vrek horde were filled with frantic activity. The combined Alliance and Zarkon fleet limped back to the nearest Alliance space station for repairs. As engineers from both sides worked together to fix damaged ships, diplomats began the delicate task of integrating the Zarkon Empire into the Galactic Alliance. Captain Sarah Chen found herself in the middle of it all. She sat in a large meeting room, surrounded by holographic displays showing the faces of Alliance leaders from a dozen different species. Beside her, Admiral Krovak shifted nervously, his trunk-like snout twitching. "Are you sure about this, Admiral?" Chen asked quietly. Krovak nodded, his 6 eyes blinking in sequence. "Yes, Captain. It is time for the Zarkon to change. You have shown us a better way." Chen smiled and turned to address the Alliance Council. "Honorable leaders, I present to you Admiral Krovak of the Zarkon Empire. He wishes to speak." As Krovak stepped forward, murmurs rippled through the assembled diplomats. The Admiral's voice was steady as he began to speak. "Esteemed members of the Alliance, for centuries, the Zarkon Empire has been feared across the galaxy. We thought strength came from conquest. But these humans and their allies have shown us true strength comes from unity." He paused, looking around the room. "Today, I formally request that the Zarkon Empire be allowed to join the Galactic Alliance." The council erupted in a mix of shocked exclamations and heated debates. Chen watched as species that had once cowered at the mere mention of the Zarkon now argued passionately about whether to accept them as allies. After hours of discussion, the council reached a decision. The Zarkon would be granted probationary membership in the Alliance, with humans acting as their mentors and guides. As the meeting concluded, Chen turned to Krovak with a grin. "Congratulations, Admiral. Welcome to the Alliance." Krovak's usually stern face broke into what Chen assumed was a smile. "Thank you, Captain. But I fear this is just the beginning of our challenges." Chen nodded. "You're right. Change isn't easy, especially for an empire as old as yours. But we'll face these challenges together." Over the next few months, human diplomats and scientists spread throughout Zarkon space. They brought with them new ideas, technologies, and most importantly, a different way of thinking. On the Zarkon homeworld, Lieutenant Maria Rodriguez led a team teaching Zarkon engineers about Alliance technology. In a vast hangar, she stood before a group of skeptical Zarkon, a dismantled engine floating as a hologram behind her. "Your engines are powerful," she explained, "but they're inefficient. By incorporating some of our designs, we can increase your speed by 30% and reduce fuel consumption by half." A young Zarkon engineer named Zix raised a clawed hand. "But our engines have served us for generations. Why should we change?" Rodriguez smiled. "Because that's how we grow. Look at this engine. It's a mix of Zarkon power and human efficiency. It's better than either of us could create alone. That's the beauty of the Alliance." As understanding dawned in Zix's multiple eyes, Rodriguez felt a sense of pride. This was how change happened, one mind at a time. Meanwhile, on a distant Zarkon colony, Captain Zilna worked alongside Alliance ecologists to restore an ecosystem damaged by years of overmining. As she helped plant native trees, she turned to her human partner, Dr. Emika Okafor. I never understood why we should care about plants and animals, she admitted. But now I see. It's all connected. Dr. Okafor nodded, wiping sweat from his brow. Exactly. A healthy ecosystem means a healthy planet, and healthy planets mean a thriving civilization. As the sun set on the newly planted forest, Zilna felt a sense of accomplishment she'd never known in all her years of military service. Across Zarkon space, similar scenes played out. Former warriors learned to be diplomats. Engineers became innovators. A society built on conquest began to value creation and preservation. It wasn't always easy. Old habits died hard, and there were those who resisted the changes. But day by day, the Zarkon were transforming, guided by human hands and Alliance wisdom. In the grand tapestry of the galaxy, a new pattern was emerging. The humans had not just prevented a war. They were reshaping an empire, proving that even the oldest of foes could become the strongest of allies. 6 months after the Zarkon Empire joined the Galactic Alliance, a new challenge emerged. Reports of unrest and rebellion began to surface from the outer regions of Zarkon space. Captain Sarah Chen and Admiral Krovac stood on the bridge of a joint Alliance Zarkon peacekeeping vessel, studying a holographic map of the affected areas. It seems not everyone is happy with our new partnership, Chen said, her brow furrowed in concern. Krovac nodded, his trunk swaying nervously. These are the old guard, warriors who believe we have become weak by joining the Alliance. Just then, Lieutenant Rodriguez burst onto the bridge, her face grave. Captain, Admiral, we've received a distress signal from Outpost Zeta. They're under attack. Chen's eyes widened. Outpost Zeta was a joint research facility, symbolizing the new cooperation between humans and Zarkon. Its fall would be a severe blow to their efforts. Set course for Outpost Zeta. Maximum speed, Chen ordered. She turned to Krovac. Admiral, I hope you're ready for some action. It's time to show these rebels what our alliance can do. As their ship raced through space, Chen briefed her mixed human Zarkon crew. Remember your training, she said. We're stronger together. Use each other's strengths. When they arrived at Outpost Zeta, they found chaos. Rebel Zarkon ships were bombarding the station, while ground forces attempted to breach its defenses. Chen's voice rang out clear and strong. All hands, battle stations. Zarkon heavy cruisers provide cover fire. Human ships use your superior maneuverability to flank the enemy. Ground teams prepare for immediate deployment. The battle that followed was intense. In space, Alliance ships danced around the slower but more powerful rebel vessels. Human pilots pulled off daring maneuvers, allowing Zarkon gunners to land devastating blows. On the ground, the scene was even more remarkable. Human soldiers in high-tech armor fought side by side with towering Zarkon warriors. Where humans lacked in raw strength, they made up for in tactical thinking and adaptability. Lieutenant Rodriguez led a team to secure the research center. As they fought their way through the corridors, they encountered a group of rebel Zarkon. Traitors, the rebel leader snarled. You disgraced the Empire by working with these weaklings. Rodriguez stepped forward, her weapon lowered. Look around you, she said calmly. See how we fight together. We're not weakening the Zarkon. We're making you stronger in ways you never imagined. For a moment, confusion flickered in the rebel's eyes. Then, to everyone's surprise, a young rebel lowered his weapon. She's right, he said. I've seen what the humans have brought us. New technologies, new ideas. We're advancing faster than ever before. One by one, the other rebels lowered their weapons. The battle wasn't won just with firepower, but with words and ideas. Back in space, Chen and Krovac worked in perfect synchronization. Chen's quick thinking complemented Krovac's years of experience. Together, they outmaneuvered the rebel fleet, forcing them into a retreat. As the dust settled, Chen and Krovac walked through the damaged but secured outpost. Alliance medics treated both human and Zarkon, wounded without distinction. "You see, Admiral," Chen said, gesturing to the scene around them. "This is the true strength of our alliance, not just in fighting, but in healing, in understanding." Krovac nodded slowly. "I understand now, Captain. The old ways, they were limited. This, what we have built together, it is something greater." As they helped with the cleanup, news spread across the galaxy. The Joint Alliance Zarkon force had not just defeated the rebels, they had changed minds and won hearts. In the following days, more and more Zarkon who had been skeptical of the alliance came forward, asking to learn, to understand. The rebellion, instead of breaking the alliance, had made it stronger. Chen smiled as she watched humans teaching Zarkon about Earth cultures, while Zarkon showed humans their ancient art forms. This was more than just a military alliance. It was the birth of a new galactic culture, one that celebrated diversity and unity in equal measure. As the stars twinkled overhead, the galaxy watched in awe. The small army that aliens once mocked had not just proven its strength, it had changed the very fabric of galactic society. A year had passed since the Zarkon Empire joined the Galactic Alliance. The initial shock had worn off, and a new era of cooperation was blooming across the galaxy. On a bustling space station orbiting a neutral planet, representatives from various species gathered for the first Galactic Cultural Exchange Festival. Captain Sarah Chen walked through the crowded halls, marveling at the sights and sounds around her. Zarkon art pieces stood next to human sculptures. The air was filled with a mix of alien music and the chatter of 100 different languages. She spotted Admiral Krovac near a food stall, his trunk cautiously sampling a plate of sushi. Chen couldn't help but chuckle at his expression. "Trying Earth cuisine, Admiral?" she asked, approaching him. Krovac's eyes blinked in sequence, a sign of Zarkon amusement. "It's interesting. I never thought I'd enjoy cold fish wrapped in seaweed." Their conversation was interrupted by an excited shout. Lieutenant Maria Rodriguez rushed up to them, her eyes shining with excitement. "Captain, Admiral, you have to see this," she exclaimed, leading them to a nearby exhibition hall. Inside, they found a remarkable sight. A group of young Zarkon and human scientists stood proudly next to a strange-looking device. "What is this?" Chen asked, intrigued. A young Zarkon stepped forward. Chen recognized him as Zix, the engineer who had once questioned the need for change. "It's a new type of terraforming device," Zix explained eagerly. "We combine Zarkon energy manipulation technology with human environmental science. It can transform uninhabitable planets in half the time of current methods." Chen and Krovac exchanged impressed looks. This was exactly the kind of innovation they had hoped the Alliance would produce. As they discussed the details of the new device, an alarm suddenly blared through the station. The festival's peaceful atmosphere shattered as panic began to spread. Chen's communicator crackled to life. "Captain, this is station security. We've detected a Vrek horde fleet approaching. They're jamming our long-range communications." Chen's mind raced. The Vrek, those merciless raiders they had fought off a year ago, were back. And this time, they had caught the Alliance off guard. "Everyone, stay calm," Chen shouted over the growing noise. "This station is filled with the brightest minds in the galaxy. Together, we can overcome this threat." Krovac nodded, his warrior instincts kicking in. "Agreed. We need to organize our defenses." What followed was a flurry of activity unlike anything the galaxy had seen before. Species that had been enemies for centuries now worked side by side to protect the station. In the command center, Chen coordinated the defense efforts. Human tactical experts worked alongside Zarkon strategists. Other alien species offered their unique abilities and technologies. "The Vrek will expect us to be disorganized," Chen said. "Let's show them what unity looks like." As the Vrek fleet approached, they found not a panicked, easy target, but a well-prepared defense force. Ships of various designs formed a protective ring around the station, their different technologies complementing each other perfectly. The battle was fierce. Vrek ships swarmed like angry insects, but the defenders held firm. Human ships darted between larger Zarkon cruisers, drawing enemy fire and creating openings for devastating counterattacks. On the station, scientists of all species worked feverishly to boost the shield systems. In one lab, Zix and a human scientist made a breakthrough, using the terraforming device to create a disruptive field that confused the Vrek ship's sensors. Hours passed, and slowly the tide began to turn. The once mighty Vrek fleet faltered in the face of this unprecedented cooperation. Finally, realizing they were outmatched, the remaining Vrek ships turned and fled. As the all-clear signal sounded, cheers erupted throughout the station. Species that had never trusted each other were now hugging and celebrating together. Chen found Krovak in the aftermath, both of them tired but triumphant. "You know, Admiral," Chen said with a smile, "I think we just witnessed the true power of our alliance." Krovak nodded, a newfound respect in his eyes. "Indeed, Captain. Today, we have proven that diversity is not a weakness, but our greatest strength." As the celebration continued around them, Chen realized that this was more than just a victory over the Vrek. It was a victory for unity, for the idea that different species could come together and create something greater than the sum of its parts. The small army that aliens once mocked had not just defended the galaxy, it had changed it forever. 5 years had passed since the Galactic Cultural Exchange Festival and the victory over the Vrek Horde. The alliance between humans, Zarkon, and other species had grown stronger with each passing day. Now, on a beautiful blue-green planet at the edge of what was once Zarkon space, a historic event was about to take place. Captain Sarah Chen, now Admiral Chen, stood on a stage before a vast crowd of beings from across the galaxy. Beside her was Admiral Krovak, his once fearsome appearance now a symbol of friendship and progress. "Welcome," Chen began, her voice carrying across the assembled multitude, "to the inauguration of New Harmony, the first truly multi-species colony in our galaxy's history." The crowd erupted in cheers. Humans stood shoulder to shoulder with Zarkon. Other alien species mingled freely, their differences celebrated rather than feared. Chen continued, 5 years ago, many thought this day impossible. The Zarkon were our enemies. Other species were strangers. But look at us now." She gestured to the city behind her. Gleaming buildings of various architectural styles blended seamlessly. Parks filled with plants from 100 worlds provided green spaces for all to enjoy. "This city," Chen said, "is a testament to what we can achieve when we work together. Every building, every street, every system has been designed with all our needs in mind." Krovak stepped forward, his trunk swaying gently. "As a Zarkon, I once believed conquest was the path to greatness. But the humans showed us a better way. They taught us that true strength comes from unity, from combining our unique abilities." As if to demonstrate this point, a group of children ran past the stage, laughing and playing. Human kids with their quick movements, Zarkon youngsters with their multiple eyes, and other alien children, all enjoying each other's company. Lieutenant Maria Rodriguez, now Dr. Rodriguez, approached the stage with a group of scientists. They unveiled a holographic display of a strange device. "This," Rodriguez explained, "is the Harmony Core. It's a power source that combines technologies from every member species of our alliance. It will provide clean, unlimited energy to New Harmony and serve as a model for future developments across the galaxy." The crowd murmured in awe. This was the kind of achievement that would have been impossible just a few years ago. As the ceremony continued, Chen reflected on the journey that had brought them here. The initial conflict, the surprising alliance, the challenges they had faced together. Each step had been difficult, but each had brought them closer to this moment. Suddenly, a commotion broke out at the edge of the crowd. Chen tensed, ready for trouble. But instead of danger, she saw a group of Vrek pushing their way forward. The crowd parted, unsure how to react. The Vrek had been their enemies, ruthless raiders who had attacked them more than once. The lead Vrek, a scared veteran, approached the stage. Chen and Krovak exchanged worried glances, but stood their ground. "We have come," the Vrek said, his voice rough but clear, "to ask for peace." A hush fell over the crowd. Chen stepped forward, her face a mask of calm diplomacy. "And why should we trust you?" she asked. The Vrek leader looked around at the city, at the diverse crowd. "Because we have seen what you have built here. We have watched your alliance grow stronger while we grew weaker. We understand now that your way is better." Chen studied the Vrek for a long moment. Then, to everyone's surprise, she smiled and extended her hand. "Then welcome to New Harmony. We have much to teach you, and I'm sure you have much to teach us as well." As the Vrek leader took her hand, the crowd erupted in cheers once more. It was a moment that would be remembered for generations to come. Later, as the sun set on the first day of New Harmony's existence, Chen stood with Krovak and Rodriguez, watching the city come to life. "You know," Chen said, "when we first encountered the Zarkon, I never imagined we'd end up here." Krovak nodded. "Nor did I. But that is the beauty of your human way. You imagine the impossible, and then you make it real." As night fell, the lights of New Harmony twinkled like stars, a beacon of hope in the vast galaxy. The small army that aliens once mocked had not just won battles or changed minds. It had created a new future, a harmony of species that would shape the destiny of the galaxy for millennia to come.